Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I'm your host, Paula Taylor, and this is episode 93. Tonight, we are going to talk about extending your root system, and I'm just going to jump right into the story of how this topic came into being. It's a really good example of how something that feels negative can turn out to be a really positive thing. And in fact, that getting triggered is sometimes our best opportunity to step into a new way of being, when we can become aware that we're triggered, when we can respond to that trigger rather than kind of blindly reacting based on previous trauma. So I was walking my dog with my husband late last week sometime, and we ran into a woman who lives in the neighborhood who we don't know. It was kind of down a couple streets. And she came up to us and she said, "Oh, I love your little dog. He's so cute." And then she looked at me and she said, "Congratulations." And I said, "Thanks. He's not that cute. Like, what?" I kind of knew where things were. Like, it took me a second, but I knew where she was going. And then she said, "Oh, you're pregnant, aren't you? Congratulations." And I said, "No, I'm not." And she kind of like chuckled, a little bit uncomfortably, and then went on and was talking about something else. And I have to tell you that has happened to me numerous times in my life. And sometimes it's happened to me when I was actually at my thinnest, when I was like in the middle of true disordered eating. Because of the way my body is built, I just always have a belly. And so sometimes people well-meaningly will ask me that. And we could really get into the like societal, layers, like, don't ask somebody that. And that's the first thing that I'm going to say, is that I did get triggered by this about my body for a little bit. And when you ask somebody that question, first of all, you don't know what their story is. You don't know, when you meet me on the street, that I have had 10 miscarriages. And so when you ask me if I'm pregnant and I'm not pregnant, that could really take me down a really deep spiral of grief. It did not. I have worked through that stuff. That was not triggered really almost at all. It was more triggering for my body image issues, which are much more long-standing than my infertility issues, or at least my awareness of them awareness is, not are. So at first I was really, I was a little bit like, did that really just happen? Like, why did that happen? Well, I don't understand. And I got a little bit triggered, and I have gained weight. I've talked a little bit on the show about how I have stepped into intuitive eating, and that is a process, and I'm no longer dieting, and I don't weigh myself. I know, that my body has changed. I can see it in the mirror. I can feel the way my clothes fit, but it's also so important to me to point out that I used to probably occupy a good 60 to 80% of my thoughts were occupied with, what was I eating? What shouldn't I have been eating? And how did my body look? And now I would say those thoughts occupy less than 10% of my brain space, my mental space. And if the price that I have paid for that is that I have gained some weight, it is so worth it. I'm going to tell you that right now, but I'm also going to tell you that I got triggered in that moment. And I started kind of, talking to my husband and like, and I had the opportunity to react in the way I would normally react, or I would have in the past, which would be like, okay, I'm going to crack down. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to go to the gym. I got to get myself in line. And I went down that road, like just a few steps. And then I was like, wait a minute. I do feel bloated. I do feel like something's going on in this area. And where do I always find my answer? I have never found my answer in the gym. I'm not saying don't go to the gym. I go to the gym. I want to be healthy and strong and mobile into my old age. I've never found my answer in restricting what I eat. I have always found my answer, to every question I've ever had, the answer lies in what is going on energetically. What is going on energetically in this part of my body that I do feel uncomfortable. I do feel bloated. I don't feel like great in this area. And to be honest, if this woman hadn't asked this question, it would not have led me down this path that ended up being amazing, that I'm really excited to share with you. So before I get into that, I want to say that we talk a lot on the show about how we create our reality, right? We project what's going on. And we talk also about trusting our intuition, about recognizing intuitive signs. And the way that the intuition works, I used to make this joke that I had to get hit over the head with a 2x4 intuitively before I would get my message. So you'll get a message intuitively, and if for whatever reason you're not paying attention, or you kind of look at it and go like, not right now, you'll get another message, and it'll be a little stronger, and you'll get a little stronger message. So that situation is very clear to me now, that was a projection of something I needed, that encounter to happen in just that way to really get my attention. I needed to get triggered so that I could step into going underneath the trigger, right? We talk for months about spiritual processing. It's a great process of step-by-step how to process trauma fully, not just in the mental space. So we have to have awareness. We go into the mental space, but then we have to come into the body. We have to let the emotions flow. We have to get into the energetics of why we were triggered before we can let go of the trigger. So the incident happened. I took a few steps down the old path of like, what am I doing? And I need to join back up with Weight Watchers, or what. I actually didn't even get that far. That would have been my old thought. I didn't even get that far. I had a little bit of like, I need to make some changes, but then I actually felt kind of liberated when I started thinking about how many times people have asked me that question. This is probably the biggest I've ever been when someone asked me that question. And people asked me that question when I was starving myself and miserable. So it doesn't really matter how I look. That question comes into my being every once in a while. So if I let go of that, it was fairly easy to let go of that and to kind of step away from that whole like tying this to my actual body. But I recognized that I was triggered, and I started feeling into my body, and I was like, oh yeah, I do feel kind of bloated, and I'm like, what's going on in here? So it led me to do some exploration, some energetic exploration. And I had the most amazing epiphany, and it was one of those things where like I can look back and see things that people said to me, or little kind of like mental realizations I had where this got into my mental space, but it never made it into my body, which is the most important place to have your realization. That is when we truly release the trigger. Getting stuck in the mental can last for, you are about to see, like 20 years. Somebody said something to me 20 years ago that is exactly what is happening energetically that I realized, but it never made it into my body. It never made it into my heart space. It never made it beyond the like, oh, that's interesting, I wonder what that means. That is what the mental space is. That's interesting, I wonder what that means. The meaning is found when we get into the full energetics of it, which is physical and emotional, not just mental. So I started feeling into my body, and I was like, oh yeah, I do feel bloated, and what's going on? And there's this like energetic kind of like blah in here. And so then I thought about, in my book, I talk about energetic herniation from the core, which a lot of us, most of us have. We've sort of herniated out energy at the core. But I felt around and I was like, no, my energy is nice and pulled in. It's not herniated out from the core. This is actually inside my body. What is happening inside my body energetically? And all of a sudden it came to me that I actually like saw a picture of this in my mind. I saw a picture of roots, like tree roots, like we talk about every week, growing our roots down out from the base of our spine. herniated up into my cave, as I call it, my solar plexus and sacral area, my belly. I saw this picture of these roots herniated up into my body and like trying to expand, which makes my physical body expand because energy is physical. And all of a sudden, something my very first Reiki teacher said to me almost 20 years ago came into my mind. She said that I was having issues in this part of my body, not because it was an actual issue in this part of my body, but that I actually had energy that was meant to go down into the earth that was not, that was kind of bouncing back up and like expanding this space and kind of bouncing around in my belly area. And again, like I understood what she was saying. I was following what she was saying, but I didn't know what to do with that for almost 20 years. And I think there's been degrees of change with that, but it took that lady on the street saying something to me that was triggering for me to really get this visual. And so let me talk a little bit about that, because I'm pretty sure that I am not the only person in this situation. And the reason I know that is because I know this came from trauma. I know this came from feeling unsupported. When we feel unsupported, when we feel frightened in our lives, we pull up on our pelvic floor. It's a reflex that happens. We tighten up our pelvic floor, and that stops the flow of energy that is meant to go down and out that first chakra into the earth. And it becomes a pattern. And so when you're a child and something scares you, which I guarantee when you were a child, something scared you at some point, you tightened up your pelvic floor without realizing it. And if that fear becomes pervasive, which for most of us it does, at least to some degree, then that area gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And so many years down the road, when you start learning how to ground and you're trying to send these roots down and out, imagine literal roots here. So if you have a plant that is in a pot, the roots can only expand so far before they bust through the pot. They either get stopped by the pot, or if they're strong enough, they bust through the pot. But when you plant that tree, we're going to go with tree imagery tonight. When you plant that tree in the ground, there is unlimited space for those roots to spread out. And so what I realized is, I'm really excited by this, that when I was a child and I experienced fear, I experienced trauma, as we all do, and I felt unsupported in whatever way that presented. And everyone feels that way. No matter what your relationship with other people is, there are going to be times when you feel like you're let down, when you feel like you're unsupported. And there are going to be times when you're frightened and you have this fight, flight, or freeze, and that pelvic floor tenses up physically, holding that energy in your body so that it can't be released down into the earth as it's meant to be. So that becomes a pattern. So then years later, as I try to start expanding spiritually, and I am extremely expanded right now. First of all, it makes a lot of sense why I've always liked expanding out into space, expanding out past my head and out of my head and out of the upper part of my body, because that is very easy for me. That is something that comes naturally to me, that feels really open. But the lower part of my body, we've talked about this fairly recently. A lot of us are just floating heads. We have no awareness of anything below our mental space, or very little awareness. We're not aware that we even have a body, let alone are we fully occupying the body. We talked about kind of being stuck in the attic, I think that was last week, and that we have all these floors and a basement below. Well, below the basement, there is the entire earth, where we can grow our roots down and out and extend. We can deepen our roots, we can expand our roots, and we can in fact expand to the point. What happened to me when I started working with this last week, the last few days, is that first I had to energetically give permission to these roots to come out of my belly and grow down as they're meant to. I had to take them out of the pot and kind of plant them in the earth, as it were, instead of having them bound in this container. And if you think about it, so the more expanded I've been getting, if you think about a tree, as a tree grows, the roots have to get deeper and they have to get wider to support the tree. So as the upper part of my tree has been expanding exponentially over the last couple of months and last couple of years, my roots are expanding too, or they're trying to. And so no wonder my belly is bloated. No wonder this part of my body feels like it's getting bigger, because the energy had nowhere to go. It was stuck inside my body. So as I worked with this energy, I took this picture of these kind of herniated roots that were growing up instead of down, that were stuck, and I flipped them back the other way, the way they're supposed to go, and I let them go down into the earth, and I started working with my light language, which is like my shortcut. My sessions now, I was telling somebody earlier today, it's like things change in a snap with light language, and I think that's why so many people, it's coming in for so many people and they're sharing it now. I was using intention and I was using energetic work and this light language to send my roots not just down, but out into the earth. And I got so expanded with this as I worked with this, that I got to a point where I could feel the entire earth beneath me. It was almost like I was sitting on one of those bouncy exercise balls, and the earth was the ball, and I was aware of the entire bulk of the earth, not just the surface. Like my roots went down so far that they were completely occupying the earth. And it does not get more supportive than that. And as we talk about, all energy is source energy. All energy at its core, at its base, at its root, is love. But we are living in a physical world where we have created this density of matter, this density of energy. So the earth energy that feels different in this physical plane than this love and light that we kind of pull in is really the same energy. It's just a different aspect. It's a different physical experience because we are in a physical body. We're in a physical plane. So when I was able to reverse that herniation of my roots, let them grow down as they're meant to, and spread them out and really allow them to spread, I accessed so much more love. I thought I was at the capacity of and we're never at our capacity, but you get to kind of your personal edge, and then things sort of expand. And I'm so expanded in this multi-dimensional space. I'm so expanded out and up of my body to the sides, but I was still I was still very bound up in the lower part of the body. And again, what a beautiful lesson. If I hadn't had that encounter, if I hadn't left at that exact time to walk my dog that day, wearing whatever shirt I was wearing that sort of emphasized my Buddha belly, if that lady hadn't stopped and started talking to us, if she hadn't said what she had said, it might have been another 20 years before I had this realization. And so I am very grateful for this experience. I am very grateful for the opportunity that was presented to me. And because I was able to not fall down that rabbit hole of the shame spiral and the triggering spiral and get pulled back into old ways of thinking and feeling and being, I acknowledged that. The pull was there, absolutely. I looked down that road and then I said, no, I'm not going to go that way. That is responding. Instead of reacting and just running straight down that well-worn path, I looked at it and I was like, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to see what happens if I go a different way with this. And it was so expansive and it was so beautiful. And so something that seemed like it was a negative, something that caused me to be triggered, was the best gift that I've gotten this week or in the last few days or whenever. I can't even remember when it happened, 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, something like that. So in tonight's meditation, we're going to explore this. And I actually talked about this on the show that's going to air next week. I talked a little bit about how the intention of this show has changed. When I started this show, my intention was just to bring some relaxation to the middle of the week through a guided meditation. But almost right away, this turned into an energy work show. This is a healing show. You know, if you've watched much of this, you know that I prefer clarity, expansion, and harmony as substitute words for healing. But healing is a shorthand. This is a healing show. We do deep energetic work in this meditation every week. And so I came to the realization in the last couple of weeks, and I don't want to get too far down this road because you're going to hear about this next week, but when I introduced sound, when I allowed myself to step into sound for myself, and then I started sharing with you, that added another whole dimension to this practice. And then recently I activated that light language, and that added another whole aspect to this practice. So these are multi-dimensional, deep healing meditations that we are doing on this show. And they are profoundly changing me. And because they are profoundly changing me, I know that they are profoundly changing you, because we are one. We are made of the same energy. And if you're here watching this, then you have the openness to participate in this shift to whatever capacity you have. So we're going to step into meditation tonight. We're going to really get into that idea of growing those roots. And if something else comes through for you, for years, I heard people talking about roots, and I liked the idea of a lighthouse, and we've talked about that. But what I realize now is that a lighthouse kind of has the same issue that a tree in a pot does. If you're a lighthouse and you're built into stone, like that's a pretty bound up situation. There's not a lot of movement there, and we're always looking for movement and flow. And I think that's why people go with the idea of trees and roots, because the bigger your tree is, the more expansive your tree is, the older and more wise your tree grows, the more roots you need to support it. And not just deep roots, you need to grow your roots out to the side. So we're going to experiment around with that a little bit in the meditation. But if a different visualization comes to you, that's fine. Go with whatever visualization comes to you. And when we get into the sound, when I get into the sound healing portion of this, you're going to hear quite a bit of that light language tonight. And you're going to see, if you're watching the video, that I tend to move my hands a lot in general when I'm talking, but even when we're meditating, because I'm working with energy. But what I found when I was doing this practice for myself is that I really needed to get kind of moving. I needed to move my hands the way that I wanted these roots to go as I was using this light language. Again, everything is intention. So the intention for this meditation is to deepen your root system, to expand your root system, to extend your root system to whatever capacity you can tonight, tonight. I'm allowed to say tonight. Somebody on Insight Timer said they didn't like that my meditations always referenced that they were at night. And I was like, well, it's a live show I do at night. So, there's only so much. I'm trying to make an effort not to do that as much in the meditation, but it pulls me out of the moment and into my head, as you can see just happened now. So just go to whatever capacity you have in this meditation. You can come back to it as many times as you want. I encourage you. This is a powerful meditation. I have been doing this meditation in some form or another for several days now, and I feel a huge shift. I feel less energy bound up in this area. I feel more flow. And will that change the physical appearance of my body? It might. Would that be nice? I'd be happy with it. Is that my goal? Absolutely not. My goal is to have healthy, flowing, moving energy to continue to support my growth so that my tree gets bigger and bigger and more expanded, and it's well supported by this energy of the earth through this extensive root system. So let's meditate together. So for this meditation, I encourage you to sit up, if at all possible. When we're focusing on sending these roots down, it does help to have a nice tall spine. So you think of your spine as the tree, and your energetic fields, the auric and etheric bodies, all these fields around your body are kind of the branches of your tree. And then below your hips and pelvis is where that root system starts. It kind of comes out from the base of the spine. That's where that first chakra is located. And then we send it into the earth from there. It also comes out your feet. So for this meditation, I encourage you to sit down either in a chair with your feet flat on the floor, or if you'd like, you can sit on the floor itself and kind of picture that whole base of your pelvis as the bottom of your tree. And if you'd like, you can begin with a couple of nice deep breaths. You can use that audible ha sound. Vibrating the vagus nerve, giving that signal to your body that we're coming out of fear. We're coming out of that fight, flight, or freeze. It's really hard to open up the pelvic floor for energetic or physical movement when we are in fight, flight, or freeze. So I encourage you to take at least 5 or 6 deep oxytocin breaths. That's that inhale through the mouth, letting your belly float forward. Let your belly relax here. And then sighing it out with that audible sound, starting high and dropping lower, coming into ease. And in fact, as you're doing these breaths, bring your awareness to your pelvic floor, to the base of your spine, and then forward to your sex organs, to the bottom of your hips and your pelvis, the bottom of your legs. Include your feet in this if your feet are on the floor. As you breathe in, drawing that beautiful light and love into your body, let it come all the way down to the pelvis. And then as you sigh that breath out, begin to send those roots down into the earth. And this may just start as a mental exercise, and that's okay. If you can't feel this in the body, that's fine. You can come back to it. Just use your intention, and the energy will go where your intention tells it to. So 1 or 2 more times here, take a nice deep breath in through the nose, draw that energy all the way down into your hips and pelvis, into the bottom of your feet, and then sigh that energy out down into the earth. Start to feel what it feels like below your body. Sometimes we do exercises where we're coming out of the body through the side or the top of our body. This time I want you to feel what it feels like to be at the very base of your body. What does it feel like just below your body? Can you make that transition? Can you feel what it's like to be in the body at the base of your spine, at the base of your pelvis, at your feet? And you feel energetically what it's like to just drop a couple inches below that base of your body. And again, if you're not feeling it, that's okay. You can come back to this anytime. Just use your intention. If you've been practicing with me, we do this fairly frequently. So you may find that this is not as hard as you might think, but be easy on yourself if this is feeling a little bit difficult tonight or today or this morning. So allow your breath to relax. We're going to take deep breaths as needed here. But with your awareness now, focusing on, again, your torso, the trunk of your body is the trunk of your tree. And that space around your body that we've explored recently, the etheric, the auric bodies where we kind of spread out into the room, that's your canopy. Those are your branches. Come down now into the root system. Feel further down below. We went just a couple inches. Try to see how far down your roots go. Encourage them to grow deep down into the ground. And again, if this visualization isn't working for you and something else is coming to you, that's completely fine. But I'm going to stick with the tree roots here. So as you start to get a sense of these roots growing down, feel, if you can, the flow of energy down into these roots. You might find that your belly is starting to relax. You might find that you're actually feeling some movement from the trunk of your tree, the torso of your body, flowing down into this root system. That is how this energy is meant to flow, down into the earth. As we release that which no longer serves us, the earth knows how to recycle it for the highest good. So then as you're ready now, start to spread your roots out sideways. You're still below the surface here of the earth, like a root, like a tree root. But rather than thinking about just getting deep and down, send those roots out to the side. See what it feels like to spread those roots even just a foot or two past your physical body. Beneath that surface of the earth, what does it feel like? And again, perhaps you're not feeling anything, and that's completely fine. Just use your intention here and trust that as you repeat this, you will feel this energy spreading out. And you will find that perhaps you're holding tension in the chest or even in the mind space, in the neck and the shoulders. When this flow down into the earth is open and expanded, when we deepen our roots, when we extend and expand them out to the side, in front and behind us, all of the energy of our body flows more freely. It has somewhere to flow to. And some of that discomfort, some of that tension has the opportunity to release. And we allow it to do so gently, with love, and without judgment if it's not happening tonight or today or this morning. So start to feel how far you can extend your roots. And you might find that you just get a foot or two outside of your body. And don't forget the back of your body. You want these roots to extend behind you. You want them to extend out to the side and in front and deep into the ground. You can and continue to work on the depth. But explore how far you can get these roots to expand. And as you practice this, any kind of limitation that you're feeling now will start to expand. So maybe you're an inch or two past the body. Maybe you do this again and then you're 2 or 3 feet. Maybe you do this again and you can feel those roots all the way to the edge of the room you're sitting in. Perhaps you can feel these roots extending all the way to the edge of your neighborhood or your city. Perhaps you can start to feel these roots wrapping all the way around the earth, all the way through the earth. Continue to explore this as we get into the sound and light language part of this meditation. Being gentle with yourself. If you're still focusing on just trying to feel that energy coming out of the base of your body, that's perfect. Stay there. If you feel that you're just barely breaching that surface of the earth, you're just getting down below the surface, that's perfect. Stay there. If you feel that you're extending those roots several feet or more past your body in all directions, that's great. Stay there. Stay with wherever your roots are taking you and trust your intuition and allow that energy to continue to flow down from the body into the earth to be recycled for the highest good. Okay. Ho chena tesha netesha. Oh chena chena. Hoy and a noy and a hoy and a hoy and a joy and a yo ye. Hoy and a che ya ye. Hoy and a che ya ne hoy hoy hoy. Why, oh, chena. Oh, chena, chena, she. Oh, yena, yena, chena, ye. Oh, chena, ye. Oh, chena, ye. Oh, chena. E chena, hoche. E chena, hochena. Grow those roots down and out deep. Let them spread. Let them support you. Let that energy flow downward. Oh, chena ye chena shena che. Oh, yena chena ye chena ye oh. Oh, yena shetana ya she. Oi and a che a high and oh ye ya she na she ya o ye che o chena. Let those roots deepen into the earth. Let them grow. Let them expand. Let that energy flow down into the earth. Oh, chena ye shetana. Oh, shena tena she. Oh, yena ye chene ya shana ye cha ye oh shena ye. Oh, chena ye shana chena. Oh, ye chena ye yo. Feel that deepening, feel that expansion, feel that connection to the earth as we are meant to be connected. Feel the love and support of this beautiful planet we're sitting on. What a privilege to be here. Ho chena ye shetana ye shetana ye. Oh yeah 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 yeah. Oh yeah yeah yeah. Oh yeah cha yeah yo yo yo. Oh chena ye tena ye. Oh chena ye tena ye. Oh chena ye tena ye da. Be grounded, be connected to the earth. Be expanded beneath the surface of the earth. Let the earth support you. Let those roots grow and expand and deepen. Extend them out to your capacity in this moment. And send some gratitude to the earth for all the beautiful work it does in supporting us, in taking this energy that we release, in recycling it for the highest good. Send some light and love and gratitude for the earth now, if you're able, if you'd like. Leave this root system in place. Leave this beautiful flow of energy down into the roots, connecting you to that earth energy. Leave that flow in place. Come back to this over and over again, deepening your connection to the earth, deepening the support you feel from the earth, allowing that beautiful flow down as it's meant to. One more time now, check in with your pelvic floor, with the base of your spine, with the bottom of your feet. Notice if there's been any shift. Notice if things feel different to you. Notice that connection. Notice that beautiful, extensive root system extending out from the bottom of your body, supporting you with love. If you'd like, you can take a few deep breaths here, drawing that beautiful love and light in through your head, down into the pelvis, and then sighing that energy down into the earth, sending that love and light into our mother, into the earth. As you're ready, you can slowly begin to move your body, move your head and neck, maybe shrug your shoulders up and down, just coming back into the conscious mind here, leaving that root system, tending to that root system as often as you can, knowing that as you grow that support, it provides the support you need to grow your trunk, to extend your canopy. Recognizing that all of this energy is that energy of the source of divine love, of unconditional love and light. And affirm with me out loud if possible, I am fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body and I feel the support of the earth. I am fully present in my body and my roots grow deep and extend far and wide. I am supported. Satnam, the truth of your identity is that you are supported when you can open to that support of the earth. Take one more deep breath if you'd like, and as you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Have a grounded rest of your night and an extended, supported rest of your week. And I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesday.